Peace, family. It's your good brother, Sir Bay, author of Your Gift, Your Passion, Your Purpose, available now. We are here for the first official episode of Control the Narrative. This is where intellectuals link up with influencers. Enjoy. So welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. We are here live in Revolt Studios, one of my favorite barbershops in the city. If you're in the VCU area, you know where to go. My brother Noah, thank you for coming, bro.
Yo, thank you, bro.
How you been, bro?
I'm good. I'm blessed, man.
Word.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know you, you've been in New York, you've been to Europe, man, from Cali, from the Bay, home state is Virginia.
Definitely.
For people who don't know you, they see you, and I'm very strong on nationality.
Yeah.
So when people see you, what do they think you are? What is your nationality? For the people who don't know, what is your nationality?
I'm multiracial, but my mother is she was a first generation Filipino. My grandparents came from the Philippines, and my father, he's Sicilian American. So like his grandparents came from Palermo, Sicily, and then
Wow.
his mother was actually, they're like Scots, Irish, or like Welsh, you know what I mean?
Wow.
They were English, so they're original descendants of like the first people who came to Virginia, the first Europeans who came here. So
Right.
I have, people from Italy in my family. I have people that I can trace back to like the first, like, English people that came to the state.
So how do you know about like your descendancy? Like did you read about it at school? Did your father pass it down? Did your mother? Do you have grandparents that are still?
Nah, that's a good question. So like, for one, like my father, he studied anthropology. I think it's anthropology, where he studied like people.
Right.
So he was always big on history. He was always reading history stuff, watching history stuff. So ever since like I was young, I just like, I was drawn to history because I would look at the world and like wonder, like, all right, I'm in this city, there's a building, but like, what was before this and what was before that? So as I got older, probably when I was like like middle school, I started, just trying to trace that. Like if I'm learning about history in class,
Right.
Let me find out my history. But I was fortunate to where like, I had the little descendants in front of me, and I know where they came from because they had just come to America. I knew my great grandparents. She was straight Sicilian, like talked broken English. I knew my grandparents from the Philippines who
Right.
they just came over here. So like it wasn't like I didn't have to do a whole lot of research. I could touch them. You know what I mean?
Right,
But on my dad's mother's side, like they like I said, they're from the first people who came to Virginia, and they actually have like traced it. Like I have a book where
So is that why you have ties to Virginia? Like
Yeah,
what,
through my
what
father.
brought you from Cali to Virginia? Because I'm a military child. You know what I'm saying? So I'm used to moving every year, every 2 years. You know what I'm saying? And I know the psychological effect of that. You know what I'm saying? Having to pick up and leave what you're comfortable with. You know what I'm saying? And all you basically virtually know. So like,
I definitely went through that same thing. Like, so ever since I was a little kid, I knew my father was from Virginia. Like I would visit Virginia when I grew up in California, and he, I knew he was from Virginia. I knew he was from the South. I knew he was from Richmond. So there just came a point in my parents' life where like some things had went on in our family structure where he felt it would be best that he go back to Virginia, and that's what he did. And eventually, like my mother, she like our lifestyle really changed. Like we didn't have money, then we were like living like a decent like middle class lifestyle, but then things went south when he left, and then eventually like he told my mom. So when you
say he left,
he left and came back to Virginia.
Okay.
So I mean, that's what he needed to do, and he felt was best to like lead our family in another direction. So eventually he asked my mother to send like my sister and I out here, and I had another little sister. So I mean, it was like within a week. Like,
Man, damn.
my mom was just like, "Yo, y'all
going VA.
yeah, and it was like a month before school
Y'all
started.
was like Soldier Boy, Virginia.
Yeah, nah, man.
Virginia.
my friends and my cousins, like people, they was like, man, you know you gonna have to marry your sister when you move out there. I was like, man, you feel me? Like,
bro, I was living in
hot.
Maryland, bro, and my
Yeah.
mom told me we was moving to Virginia. And on everything, the very first thing that popped into my head was like cows inside of like farms and just like, and I really threw a temper tantrum, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to come because I was in Maryland, like I was going to Baltimore on the weekend, like it was lit. Like I'm 15, 14, dumb lit. And they say Virginia, I'm thinking country, but then I get out here and it's a whole nother thing.
Like, see, it was a big shock to me because like, I was like I grew up in the city, like in San Francisco and right outside San Francisco. So like I was like in elementary school, like, and would be gone all day, like go get on the bus by myself at like 10 years old, you know what I mean? I had like $1 and just to call my mom every few hours from a payphone, like, so
payphone era.
Yeah. So when I came out,
bro,
here,
I'm gonna tell real talk.
Yeah.
Some of y'all youngins wouldn't have been able to survive during the payphone.
I would take that $1, get on the bus, like one bus for 35 cents. Then I had the rest of the change, and like it was just a rule. Like, all right, you get out of school this time. At this time, you need to call me either for somebody's house or find a payphone.
Now, are you the oldest sibling?
Yeah.
You're the oldest sibling,
younger sisters,
and you have 2 younger sisters. Yeah. So, all right, so let's dial into that dynamic and that narrative. All right, you big bro, you in the Bay, you got 2 younger sisters. What is that about? What's that like? Like, where was your mind at when you realized the responsibility that you had for your family?
Like, it probably hit me like right prior to moving here because like my father wasn't there for a period of time, so I knew, like, I felt like you know, like I was having to become a young man, you know, and I was responsible. I'd get on the bus, I was like, you know, probably 10, 11, my sister's like 8 or 9, you know what I mean? So like I had to make sure we got to where we were supposed to go and made it back home. So like from a young age, you know, I knew that you know, I was like the next in command. You know, if something should ever happen to my father, he was grooming me to take on that role. And,
so you had that instilled from you.
Yeah.
So that's I mean,
and another
thing,
go ahead. So my father, he didn't get raised with his father. So when he was born, his last name was James. I mean, when he was growing up, his last name was James, and that goes back to like the first people from Virginia. When I was born,
James River.
My last name was James.
Wow.
So my name,
what, bro?
Yeah, my last name. I got a birth certificate and social security card. It was probably when I was like 2 that my last name got changed to what it is now.
Wow. I didn't know that.
My name was Noah James. You know?
Bro, that is deep.
But he told me, you know, he told me what happened. Like his grandparents from, you know, Italy, like they convinced him. They were like, we know your father didn't raise you, but we came to this country to like start over. So can you change your name back so that your son will carry it? You know what I mean? And then
that's deep, bro.
So I knew that, like, yo, and I knew that. Eventually, like I'm responsible. If something happened to me, there is no other person in our family with this last name. Yeah.
So all right, so I'm gonna interject, and we're gonna bounce around a little bit because you're saying things that made me think of other things. So now that highlights to me why you have a lot of leadership qualities that you do, and when you're a leader, you know, people follow that, people gravitate towards that. Now, one narrative I want to touch on, especially speaking about the regional aspect of the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, particularly Virginia. Now, you know, your nationality, you broke down your nationality as, you know, being multiracial, and, you know, you're Filipino and Sicilian or Italian. So a mix with other, as we all are. This is a big pot. You know what I mean? We're all mixed with something at this point in the game. But the narrative in Richmond, when it came to you, in regards to the music you were putting out, the bodies of work, the consistency, the representation, I mean, the list goes on. You check all the boxes. Me being somebody who is not from Richmond, but I frequent the area. So my perspective, I have an outside and inside perspective. And one narrative I want to address, and I want to get your opinion on it, is, yo, Noah hot, Noah the one. but man, he don't really look like a Richmond rapper.
Yeah.
Or he ain't from this
Rich,
part
yeah.
of Richmond or that, or he moved or whatever.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I know exactly. Like I
So
faced all that.
do you feel that narrative had energy in regards to why you were moving and doing what you were doing at the same time, repping for the city?
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Both. Like, man, like, it is what it is. Like when I moved here, like Richmond is Richmond. It's the South. You know what I mean? And especially like in the mid '90s, like it's black and white. You feel me?
Absolutely.
So I
man.
came out here, and you know, people didn't really know how to take me. People would say like, well, you know, you act black, or then I grew up, you know, but I primarily grew up around black kids in a black neighborhood, you know what I mean? So it wasn't me. I was just doing what felt natural.
Right,
you know
right,
what I mean?
right.
But yeah, I wouldn't hear people say that, but I know what they meant. Like it didn't matter how far I got, it's still gonna be people in Richmond, in Virginia, to be like you see with the 21 Savage stuff, like, oh, well, he ain't from here. Like, man, I've been here from middle school.
Like exactly, bro.
I'm
you
from here. You know what I mean? When I go back to California, I got homeboys out there I grew up with, but when I go back there, they introduce me as this my partner from Virginia.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
so I'm
you
from
move.
Virginia.
Yeah,
you know
you move, bro.
I think like definitely my ethnicity, you know, it probably plays it played a role in certain things, but it was like a two-way thing. Like I knew that immediately people are judging me based off my appearance more than anything, or where I'm from. So it made me like, so I was very conscious of that, because I would hear it. So it's like I purposely, you know, would go. It made me work that much harder. You know what I mean? Because it's like, all right, it's already people that feel like I shouldn't be doing this or shouldn't be doing that. They don't want me to get but so far. So I'm gonna go extra hard, and it's not within their control. You feel me? I feel like this is a gift that's been given to me by the Most High. I'm gonna do what I need to do until I leave here. You know what I mean? That's not in anybody's control. You know, but yeah, I definitely think it's played a part. Less now, you know what I mean? Because now it's more diverse.
It's way more diverse. You got the internet, you know what I'm saying? We're in the social media era, and it's crazy because, you know, like J. Cole come out with the Middle Child record. You know, it's a dope ass record, but the actual subconscious intent behind it, you know what I'm saying? When you're saying the Middle Child, he's saying I'm in between the OGs and these youngins, and I feel like we in that same, you know, just generational wise, you know what I'm saying? And even within my family dynamic, I am the middle child. I'm my father's middle child, and my mother's oldest son. So I got I got an older brother, and my older brother passed away, a transition. And then my sister,
sorry to hear that.
Peace. And then I got my two younger brothers. So I am the middle child.
Yeah.
And then in hip hop, you know, we in our mid 30s. So it's like, yo, we remember the golden era. You know, the 80s, then the 90s, which was the golden era. You know what I'm saying? Into the 2000s, and then now where we at now. So it's like, yo, we in the middle. So it's like, who better to speak to be the bridge and that conduit bridge between the OGs and the youngins out here. You know, so I feel like we have a major responsibility, and that's why, you know, having you on here is special, man, because your story is amazing, bro. I mean, like, yo, the resume is ridiculous. I mean, like, all you really got to do is just add charged up Noah O, right? Really?
Yeah.
That's really
add charged up Noah O. If you, if you Google me, like, you could find different stuff like I've done throughout the years. But
the resume is crazy. So you know, at this point in your life, what do you feel legacy means to you? Like, what does legacy mean to Noah O right now?
I think legacy is like, legacy to me is the things that people are gonna say, you know, after you're gone, or even when your name comes up. Like, what is your story? Like, when your name, and I even say it in the new album, when your name come up, what that convo like? When your name crosses people's lips, or somebody asks about you, what are they gonna say? So for me, like, it's always been important, like you said, control the narrative. Like, I'm gonna control what people say about me by consistently, you know, doing what I'm supposed to do day in and day out.
Who could tell your story better than you? And like another narrative that, you know, I've been listening to your music for years now, you know, And I'm gonna interject how we met too. I'm gonna break that down for those who don't know how we met. But I've been a fan of his music for a long time, and a narrative that always is reoccurring and that you've been touching on is systematic oppression. You really been touching on that from even back in the day before the woke movement. You know what I'm saying? Now you got woke, diet woke, not woke, all kind of wokes out here and shit. But like systematic oppression. Why has that theme and that narrative been something that you always highlight and touch on, even back then?
It's just something like going back to like history, like the Philippines. I grew up primarily in California with my my Filipino side of my family. Like the Philippines was is like an island nation made up of a bunch of islands, but it was there were indigenous people there, and they were colonized. The Philippines was colonized by Spain, just like the United States was colonized by England. So over time there's certain policies in place, just like there were in the U.S., where the original people would be kept down. So it's just something I'm very aware of, and I know that the things that we see going on, they're not the policies that are in place. Even the subconscious aspects of why people do what they do and treat each other in certain ways is because there's been a history of like oppression and certain policies that have trickled down for generations. So it's like, when I see people do things, even the way people have treated me, I have a better understanding of why they treat me like that.
And why they're in that psychological space. See, everybody doesn't, especially in this age of mental health, man. Mental health is a key topic and a key subject and narrative that we all need to focus on. But everybody doesn't have that strength or that skill or that. I say they don't have it. I should say they haven't activated it.
Yeah, they haven't become self-aware.
Exactly. I talk about that in my book. The actual activation of our potential. But you've activated that, and I think because the way that you were raised and the circumstances that you had to deal with and overcome. Peace, King. Gave you some life skills earlier than some people who may have not had to deal with those things. So that's crazy that you say that, bro.
It definitely, like, the point I'm at now is definitely, I've grown just like, any body should continue to grow and develop. But it doesn't affect me in the way it used to. Like as a child, you don't understand. As a teenager, middle school kids, high school kids can be mean to each other. They're not thinking. But I used to internalize a lot of it. But
we all do.
And it would hurt. But at the end of the day, subconsciously, I always felt like I can't let this break me. And then as I got older and matured and learned more things, I learned to forgive people and see that it was because there's certain things in place, and forgive them, for their, shortcomings or their weaknesses for treating me that way. But it's hard to process.
So how do you get to that point, though? I mean, how do you get to that point of enlightenment to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't easy. What you just said ain't easy, bro. It ain't easy. It ain't easy when somebody,
like, it says in the Bible, like when they were crucifying Jesus, Yeshua, like,
Prophet Yeshua, absolutely.
He was up there and he said, forgive them for they don't know what they do. Like, so I look at certain things like that, whether you believe in the Bible or not, there's still things that I've been able to extract that because it's true. Absolutely. It's universal truth. Absolutely. You know what I mean? That resonated. So to reach that level, like, I just have to remind myself, if they knew better, they wouldn't be doing that. You feel me? If people knew better, they would do better. So when somebody does something to me now, I realize, like, not to take it personal. This ain't against me. This is a strike against them, and it's showing me their level of understanding and development. Man. So I can't be mad. I'm just like, I'm not gonna put myself in the position to continue to be exposed to that behavior or get hurt.
1,000%.
Yeah, it's a week. You know what I mean?
It's 1,000%, bro. Yeah. You already know, 1,000%, bro. I mean, it's just the fact that you're able to get to that level of understanding. I don't think people really understand the magnitude of, people's awareness. Yeah. I mean, everybody, just because somebody is walking and talking and standing upright doesn't mean they have the same consciousness that you do. I tell my children all the time, everybody. You can't think, people are thinking certain things because you just think that way. No, you have to treat it like, they may not be thinking like you. Like, I tell them, before you cross the street, look both ways. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's a one-way street. You know what I'm saying? Like, because yeah, the signs say one way, but that don't mean somebody won't be coming down the wrong way. So still look both ways on a one-way.
No,
you
you hit on a great point. Like, just because somebody's outward appearance or their physical body has continued to grow and age and develop doesn't mean that emotionally and spiritually,
grown.
that part of their person. I believe people, whether, this is my personal belief, we're made up of body, mind, emotion, soul, spirit, whatever, So the thing about humans though, our bodies will continue to develop whether our minds or our spiritual side does.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
you could be,
right.
We could, you could be at a different age or the same age, but that doesn't mean y'all have reached like that same level
spirit.
of growth.
Yeah, it's young cats out here that are more adult in the spiritual realm than people who are older in the physical realm, and then you have people who are, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it took me a while to realize that. Like, until I became a technical adult, I started to realize that even people that I had grown up with, family and friends, like, it started to hit me like, okay, this person is an adult, but they haven't grown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
so
absolutely.
That's when you see 40, 50-year-old, 30-some-year-old, just because somebody is an adult doesn't mean they're grown. It doesn't mean they're developed fully,
Mature,
you can speak up. Yeah,
spiritual maturity, yeah. But family, we're gonna take a break. We'll be back. You already know what it is. Control the narrative. So before we left off, man, I said I was gonna interject and definitely highlight how we met. So I met Noah. I moved to Virginia from Maryland, and I was kicking and screaming. I didn't want to come down here, and then I got here and realized Virginia was nothing like I thought. It was lit. Virginia was lit. Like, I moved here in like the 90s, like 98, 97, something like that. And I was already into music. And this is around the time where karaoke, if you wanted to record your music, you had to have a karaoke machine or a cassette player. It wasn't no, you know what I'm saying, like portable studios, in-home studios. So karaoke machine era, bro. Then technology advanced as it does, and you had the CD era. So during the CD era, we press up our CDs and hit the spots. Flea market, car wash, parties, clubs, events, whatever. And I used to be at every popping event from Virginia Beach to Richmond. And I would run into this guy like 60 or 70% of the time. This young Filipino kid. I'm like, yo, I see this cat everywhere. He grinding. His flyers look dope. Put the music in, the music tough. Oh, he from Richmond? And then from there it's blurry. From there it's just, it's blurry. But that's how we met, and we've been solid. When you say day one, solid from day one, bro. So take me there, bro.
Yeah.
To that era, like
I think I know I got familiar with you like back in the MySpace days. Like MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace.
This is like prior to Twitter, so like going back to what you said, like we started, in the 90s where we didn't have social media. We had to be out there. And then I noticed I would see your flyers and stuff too. I would see y'all. This was 360. That was your group at the time.
Dollar Gang. Yep. 360 era.
Gang.
Yep.
So I would see them.
Hard.
I remember seeing.
Shout out to Squilla, Fleetwood Tism.
Yeah, shout out Cream Shy. I remember seeing Cream Shy joints up in B. Giles joined up in Tower Records.
Ooh.
So this is like, if you know Richmond Tower Records, this is like back then. But
wow.
I would see your mixtapes and your covers, and I remember before I think when I first hollered at you, I was in Cali. I went back to Cali in like 06 or 07, and I just happened to be like going through MySpace, downloading different artists, like tracks off of their pages, and I came across your page, and I was just making like a little mixtape for me to like leave with some of my homies in California. So I had like your stuff, and this was like at the time when Trey Songz had what was the group with Ilya?
804 Boys.
Yeah. So I remember I put out like, I downloaded some of their stuff. I downloaded some of your stuff.
Man, wow.
Because I just wanted like to leave something in the Bay with my partners like that had like people I felt like was making moves, I thought their music was tough. So then,
yeah, that's how it was back in the day too. That was like a mutual respect. Like your music had to be tough. You had to be living the life that you was talking about, and you had to be on your grind, bro. Like,
yeah, so that's like I think it was like during that time, and I was like telling myself like when I think I might have messaged you or something on MySpace like, yo, you know, we need to link. Like, let's just link up. And then we had opened not too long after that, getting back to Virginia, we opened up our first Charged Up Studios over in Lakeside.
okay, so the
And
first
the rest
one.
was that.
So let's interject. That's crazy. That's a beautiful interjection segue. So let's get to this narrative. Let's get to the narrative of, you know, putting on for your city, your region. You know what I'm saying? We in Virginia. This where we from. This what we repping. We meet our wives and our children's mothers here. Everything happens. And we start families here. All that good stuff. I got it. Boom. Lightning in a bottle.
Who could put the game in the bag? Slang in the top-notch swag. All the chicks know about me. When it come to repping the beat.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got the studio. Noah like, yo, I got a beat from these cats in Atlanta. They dope. Let's link up. Cool. We at the studio.
Shout out to Big Boys, man.
Big Boys.
Yeah.
We cool. You know what I'm saying? Come to the studio. You play the beat. I think you had the hook. I don't know if you had the hook already or we made it
up right then. Like, and then, on the spot. Like, so if y'all don't know, like, anybody may not be familiar, you just familiar with, like, my last few albums from Monument Avenue forward. You know, this is, it's definitely a certain niche, a style of hip hop. Is more, you know, it's like boom bap, East Coast, you know, golden era, whatever you want to call it, new wave, boom bap. It's all these different things, but
that's what they call it, new wave. I like that new wave, boom bap. I like that. I like how that sounds.
But for those who don't know, like Sir Bay and I back then it was Streets. Like we made a song, I Got It, and that video ended up getting on MTV Jam. So like for like a whole summer, you know, we was unsigned. And it was crazy around here because I had people calling me, certain doors was opening up, even for you, all of us as a result, the traction. And it was just like, I was throwing events at the time at the Camel. I was throwing a monthly event called The Rebirth with Black Fonzarelli. So like, it was just a perfect combination of events. We was throwing a monthly event, getting good turnouts.
Camel used to be lit, bro.
Yeah,
Camel was a spot.
shows.
We used to drive up from Hopewell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Had cats from the Bird coming up. Like, one thing about the 804, and DT can attest to this, man. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know, there's always been a yearning to link up our region on a stronger level. Not saying it hasn't been done. It's been done in every generation. But one of the keys and one of the narratives that I think not everybody realizes is harnessing and tapping into Richmond, Petersburg, and Hopewell, you know, together. Not saying we gotta walk down the yellow brick road holding hands, but there's significance. I know cats in Richmond who used to love coming to the Berg, you know,
the
clubs, and I ain't no clubs no more, but back in the day,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then I know, and then us, we used to love coming to Richmond to go to the club, and you know what I'm saying? Like, just ride on Broad Street. Those days is long and gone, but man, just like that time, that synergy, it created some of the most legendary groups and artists to ever come from this area. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, and to actually have DNA in that, and it's really key that, you know, the younger generation understand how things got to this point, man. There's a lot of work, you know, even though it's like, it's really a humble narrative because we don't boast about a lot of the DNA we got in the game. And I'm not saying we blown up, we stars, we major. Ain't about that. Ain't about none of that.
Even like you said, like nothing that's going on in Virginia or even in the 804 specifically was created in a vacuum or a funnel. Like it was people, you know, we just talking about our part of history, and our specific conversation is referring to like the last 10 years, 09 to now.
Exactly.
But even before that, it was people before us that, you know, when it's like, this is just part of the thing. Like,
legacy,
venues are open, venues are shut down. And certain open mics might be lit for a year. So it's like, it's definitely, you know, we played a part. I've definitely played a part. You have, like, it's people who when things would die off, they take it upon themselves to keep that spirit of hip hop alive. Yeah,
and that's
culture,
and that
man.
like and that's to bring to your album, bro. And I've been digging in for the last couple of weeks now, since it's been out, and it's definitely that nostalgia. The nostalgia is there when you and DJ Mentos hook up, man. It's always gonna be some key elements in the mix. It's gonna be nostalgia. It's gonna be boom bap, or what you called it earlier, new boom bap. We say new boom bap.
Yeah, that's like something I seen. Shout out to like Loretta and Loretta Records.
I like that.
That's what something I've been seeing cats hashtag.
It's a
like
that.
resurgence right now of like, for people don't know, especially around here when you talking about myself or Gritty City or like AGM and Mutant Academy, it's definitely a wave right now of artists who making like boom bap, but it's presented. It's not like to go back to the 90s. Right. Just like in rock, just like in rock and roll,
trappers evolve.
The hip hop in general evolves and splinters into different things.
Right.
Like you could say something is rock and roll, but that has a whole bunch of different subcategories. You got punk, you got death metal, you got grunge, you got acoustic guitar. Mm-hmm. So that's the point in history. Classic rock. You got artists now that's in 2019 making stuff that sound like 70s rock, classic rock band. So it's like, that's the point in hip hop history we're at right now, where you can choose, or you can do it all. You can choose. I'm gonna rap on a trap beat, or I want to rap on some boom bap. I want to rap on a hyphy beat, or this traditional West Coast sounding beat. There's so many different ways, or twerk music. It's so many. You don't got to box yourself in. You don't got like one key thing that I learned, like my whole journey of doing music. What I've learned, one of the key principles that I've understood. It was an enlightening thing for this to hit me, but as a creative, as an artist, nothing truly belongs to you. Yeah, definitely.
The music, the art that you create, the fashion, whatever it may be, it's just the clay. It's like the Most High giving you clay, and you make whatever you make out of that clay. Yeah. Now, the clay is not yours, you know what I'm saying, but you were able to create. So ultimately, you have to think about it like this, like, damn, you ever made a song or wrote a hook, and it's like you didn't come out with it.
But
somebody else.
Yeah.
It's because y'all.
Like Nas got the song No Ideas Original. Like
No Idea. Come on,
we
man.
all in the same.
Come on, man.
We in the same world, breathing the same air, drawing on the same sources of inspiration. Like, I can't take. Anything that I'm doing is based on something I've seen and tweaking it to my liking.
Exactly.
It's all. Everybody feeds off of one another.
Come on, man.
So it's like,
I think that takes out the ego. Once you get to that enlightening stage, you can make so much dope shit. You know what I'm saying? You can make dope music. Did it black out? Oh.
I definitely draw inspiration like from anybody that's out here doing their thing, whether I'm doing the same style of stuff or whatever. Like it all, contributes. You know what I mean?
To be honest, to be honest, like, because I travel, you know what I'm saying? Richmond is really like hippie meets grunge, like hippie meets punk type. And I think when the trap element merges with that more, I think like Richmond's gonna be a staple. You know what I'm saying, for that.
But that's like speaking to that, that's why it makes sense that it's artists from here that's gaining traction with this type of sound, because this is like something that's counter to what's appealing in the mainstream. Right. You feel me?
So and that shit getting boring. I ain't gonna lie. Like I see like now the way music is consumed. Like, for example, when it comes to me, like in my music, I like playlists. Like I make my own playlists, and I like how the app, make playlists for me. You know what I'm saying? So on my personal playlist, I might, whatever album come out, I get the album, I listen to it, of course. I pick my favorite songs, I throw it on my playlist. Now, if your album is fire, I'm coming back to your album.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm just listening to my playlist with my favorite songs. You know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy that you said it. You made me think of that, yo. Hey, yo, we fresh too, yo. We just got fresh lines from Diggs.
Oh, yeah. Shout out.
I don't even know if y'all can tell. Y'all should be able to tell. Diggs the Barber Revolt. Come on, man. Yo, DT in the building. We just kicking it, man. It's Control the Narrative. It's the first show. Ain't no script, nothing like that, man. This is how we naturally kick it, man. I kick it with this brother, man. We had all kind of conversations, family life. A lot of times it's not even about music, which is the funny part. you know. And that's a key thing with my book, man. You know, I'm gonna keep putting this in y'all face. I'm gonna keep my dream in my hand.
Y'all
Shout
need
out
to get that. Y'all need to get that.
You know, I'm gonna keep my dream in my hand. Shout out to 19 Keys. I heard him say that. But yeah, man, I'm gonna keep this in y'all face and I'm gonna keep it in my hand, man, because at the ultimate end of the day, for me, I've been making music my whole life. And at one point, I thought that was my purpose. I thought that's what I was here to do. But the Most High slapped me in my face and put that brick wall in front of me, like on the cartoon. You know, you running, Raleigh Coyote speed runner, and then boom, smack right in front of you, bro. Like ultimately, I learned that I confused my actual gift and my passion for my gift for being my whole purpose. And the Most High sat me down, and I'm humbled and thankful that happened to me, because I wouldn't have the conscious understanding that I have now and the ability to navigate the way I do, because life is real, man. Like for real, Noah, like we have deep conversations behind the scenes, you know what I'm saying? And like, how do you deal with and approach depression? Like,
man,
on all levels, you know what I'm saying? Like,
nah, like that's, you know, I'm human, so like it's crazy, between every one of these projects is one common thing now that, you know, I've reached a point in my life I could look back on each time period. Like almost each one of these projects, at some point, like in between each project, I was going through a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? Like in my personal life.
You can feel it in the music.
I mean?
Something, and you like, it's crazy. See, it's crazy knowing you, but for the people who don't know you, I can never have their perspective because I know you.
Like, I know for me, like when it comes to things like depression, I'm fortunate. You know, we spoke about my parents earlier, but my mom, you know, from a young age, she encouraged me to like talk to people about, you know, when I was going through stuff, whether that was like in a clinical setting, like talking to a counselor, or like as a child, I remember like we had different family things going on. I used to get kicked out of school and all types of stuff like that, and she would have me like go to counseling. You know what I mean? Whether it was my school counselor, they would come pull me out of class a few times a week just to, you know what I mean, check on me. I needed that. Like, we're not. I think it's like stigmatized, especially like for minorities or for people who come from lower economic backgrounds. You're just taught to, man, this is just how life is. You suck it up. But then what happens is, as people get older, you know, you might start off as a teenager, whatever, smoking weed and then drinking. But then pretty soon as life goes on, those become your habits and your crutches. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we are creatures of habit.
Yeah, that's
and you control a man's habits. You control, you know what I mean?
So it's like that, you know, that's just something like to recently I've started becoming aware of and putting things in context. Like, all right, you know, it's a lot of people I care about. I see them depending on certain substances or certain behaviors because they're really subconsciously, you know, it may be something from their childhood or something they've done and it's eating them up. So, you know, I think all those things can lead to depression in our experiences. But, you know, how I deal with it, like it's a mixture of, you know, I'm fortunate that I have found I have something I'm passionate about. I have, you know, I believe I know what my purpose is while I'm here, and you know, I have an outlet. You know what I mean? So I have an outlet to channel my experiences into, as well as like I have to do things like, you know, exercise, watch my diet, you know, go to church, go to counseling, whatever. Like I have to rely. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, you know, about to talk about, because I have sons and I'm trying to teach my sons healthy, you know, behaviors and alternative that I wasn't necessarily shown.
It's a real conversation too. It's a conversation that, like, you know, like
I didn't understand why people would become like, how did somebody become a junkie? It didn't. Nobody wants to start out and with that goal in mind. But I see how these things happen is because there's other factors that are bothering people. So, you know, now I'm just at a point in my life where I'm trying to take better care of myself and also, you know, help the people around me by, you know, being a model of certain things and giving my children and the people close to me like the tools that are working for me. That's what I.
So that's on your mind. You know, I mean, like when you wake up and you know you back in consciousness, it's like what does Noah focus on first after you pray, or you brush your teeth, you get up. What's on Noah's mind? What you going to do? What's the mission? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the mission?
Like, the day to day, like I have, like, right now I'm promoting the album, but at the end of the day, like I have kids, so my first thing I need to concentrate on is providing for them. So whatever I'm having to do at the time, that's my way to sustain my responsibilities.
Check.
But that's always on my mind. I make a checklist. I have my day and my weeks planned out, and
so you plan. All right.
Yeah,
so,
I plan everything out. I write everything out, and I have to because there's so many distractions. We got the phones and people hitting my phone. So if I don't write stuff down, I'll forget. Something will slip through the cracks. But
yeah.
That's how I
that's a key exercise though, because everybody don't understand the intricate details of just day-to-day planning, especially being an artist, man. Being an artist, you get to travel a lot on any level. I don't care if you independent, major, out of here, it don't matter. Like, you travel and you have to move. You got to go city to city, you know what I'm saying? And being able to be punctual, schedule, communicate, energy levels, breath, diaphragm work, business, marketing, recording. Man, you're a moving business. And cats, see, what's happened with the game is it's the Hunger Games. We've taken the systematic oppression and the indoctrination and our own ignorance and disconnect from spiritual principle to get us in the condition that we in right now. And when I've been in the projects before, not long, I was born. My mom, dad told me the story. They was like, I was born and my dad took me to Taylor Home Projects. Taylor Home is in Wilmington, North Carolina. It's a project and where I'm from, where I was born. And my mom was like, my dad stayed there one night and was like, nah, I ain't having this for him. And he left with her and she joined the army, But I've been in the project, Section 8. So I know what it's like to be hungry. Now, with the population of people that's in that situation, if somebody come handling a $100,000 check with a 360 deal, most people gonna take it.
Yeah.
Fuck everything else. It's just the living condition. Mom, little sis, bruh, cuz, like, so.
Now you in survival mode.
Mode. So boom, it's like, all right, damn. Now that's the Hunger Games. So niggas will die to step on that stage to project or follow any agenda. They really don't care about that because they're in survival mode. But once they get out survival mode, you got the money, you comfortable, mom straight, couple houses, chains. All right, now I got time to breathe a little bit. I can study, read, meet new people, network. Damn, yeah, you're right. Don't do minds connected. Shit, boom, 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 boom. Then that consciousness elevation starts happening, and then it's, yeah, you're right. I need to invest in my people more. I need to do, and now all of a sudden it's swoop, somebody swoop.
Nah, that's what happens. Like, we're in a time now where, like, I don't know, man. Like, if you, for the most part, if you live in America, like, your basic needs, for the most part, is covered. For majority of the people, I could say that.
Right.
But there's also a lot of people in this country, like, whose basic needs aren't taken care of. But for those that are, like, where, whether even the poorest person here is better off than a poor person in a poorer country.
Travel, family, travel as much as you can. Start locally and expand accordingly. Travel, because one, once you leave America, you can get a better perspective and a closer holistic perspective as to the pros and cons of being here. And there's pros and cons in everything, because I'm all about balance. It always breaks down to balance with me. There's pros and cons in everything. There's pros about living in the United States, and there's definitely cons.
But I think like, because so many of our basic necessities like food, clothing, and shelter are taken care of, like, instead of, like you said, if you've been stuck in survival mode, but now your necessities are taken care of, now is the time when you can develop in other ways. But instead, what happens is we're so distracted that we still don't move on to the next step of growth because we're distracted. Whether it's like, oh, I need this latest thing, or I should be living like this person is living, and it becomes like, due to social media and like media influence, it becomes like a thing of, you know, you got all these people that should be happy because your needs are taken care of, but people constantly are looking at other people's situations and lives like, oh, well, I feel better if I got clothes, I got shoes, but I need these shoes, or I got a job, I got somewhere to live. You know what I mean? But really, I want my dream.
Joy,
you know,
is comparison. I read that quote. It said, "The thief of all joy is comparison." I read that and I was like how Ralph Smart. I was like, you know, I did the slow motion, infinite water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, nah, man, that's like, it's real, man. Vanity, man. Like Gary Vee says, vanity metrics. You know, you're posting and you're looking at your likes, and your likes is at the totem pole of you posting, and you'll take it down to keep it up, instead of, I posted this because this is content that means this, or it's tied to this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? This is art. This is whatever. This is a personal thing, whatever. But it's content that's a part of your authentic brand. Yeah. People are not authentic. You know what I'm saying? And they run into a brick wall eventually, and that's what's happening. You're seeing.
Yeah, they just want to keep the pictures up that got the most likes.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, ultimately, and this is
who's keeping score of these things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you got a page, and unless you're trying to sell a brand or sell yourself to a company to get them to pay you to market something, then what is the metric? Like, why are you keeping track? What metric doesn't matter? Because are you on some society giving you a point system? Like, you'll be cooler, or you'll attract more people of the opposite sex. Like, what are you looking
that attention
for?
Needle, bro.
Yeah,
that's what Meek be calling on his album, that attention needle, man. Like, and this is the danger. This is the danger that I'm seeing right now. We're in the information age, right? And attention is really the ultimate currency right now, because, like you said, we're in a first world country, so our basic needs are met. So people are focusing on other shit. So you have, you know, the information age, and then you have, you know what I'm saying, like that aspect. So it's like, dang, people want attention. You get attention. Now what you gonna do with it? Yeah. Because if you don't know who you are, and this is what I ran into, and I'm glad the Most High put me through this at a younger age. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was popping at a young age. You know, 360 Day. We was popping. We was in New York. We was in Florida, Atlanta, Virginia, Carolina. Music everywhere. Just, man, pushing. You know what I'm saying? Got to the height of my career, and I'm like, yo, I don't even know who I am. Yeah. I'm out here popping off. I don't even know who I am.
What for?
And for what for?
Yeah, what for?
And I'm actually influencing people, and I'm not even a leader yet. Yeah. I say, you know what? Let me step away from this. It's attached to me, so I'm gonna put it in the closet. You know what I'm saying? I'll be back. And then I took that time, and that sojourn time, and that period got me here, bro.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Man. So I feel for people who are out there seeking attention without a sense of purpose or divine or pure intent. Your intent is important. Why do you want to do what you do? Why do you want to do what you do? Your intent. And that's linked to your purpose. Whether you've activated it or not, those are the contents that's going to keep you encapsulated to be able to navigate in this physical form that we call a body on a higher vibration, opposed to trying to, you know, be seen for what? Y'all ain't doing nothing. Yo, if they would have had Instagram and social media in our era, when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 15, 25, what? Y'all ain't doing nothing special, bro. I promise you, we was wilding way crazier back in the day.
It's just like what like, I know for me, and we talked about this numerous times, like, if it wasn't for me creating music or being a creative, I don't utilize social media. Like, for people that follow me, like, you know, I got the Analog Suspects out now, but I hadn't put out a new project since 2017, like at the end of 2017. So for real, like,
that was a classic.
Oh, thank you. I didn't when I wasn't putting out my material.
How many projects have you put out at this point? If you could remember.
Man,
DT, do you have a
I don't know, but I know like I
rough
count,
estimate?
I count like my albums. When I started having a better understanding of how to present my material, I count Monument Avenue as the first joint in 2014. But prior to that, like, yeah, I probably had 7 mixtapes out before that.
Okay.
But Monument Avenue was my first time.
Okay, so since Monument Avenue, how many projects have you released? Rough estimate. So you got
like
7?
Maybe 9 or 10.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And since 2000, I put out 9 or 10 projects since 2014. But prior to that, I had like Filipino mixtapes, Douglas Wilder. Like it was probably 7.
Filipino was my joint. What was the joint where you had the 2 up, 2 down?
Yeah, that was Trillmatic was my first mixtape.
Man.
Like, I put out Trillmatic 2. Like, yeah.
Yo, Douglas Wilder. Like.
Yeah.
But I just read about him the other day that just to get that we in Black history that was the first black governor.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
I was learning. You was teaching. You know?
Teaching.
That's why I put it, because like for people outside of Virginia, like I had a mixtape called Douglas Wilder for President. Like,
so that's the beauty of it.
Douglas Wilder was the United States' first black governor, and he was also the mayor of Richmond at one time. So like, yeah.
Yeah, and
he's from here,
The
so.
marketing campaign.
See, so Noah, that's what I'm saying. Noah has been a staple for Richmond culture and history, and it's like, you're for the people who are not from here, and maybe that's why people who are from here, I'm not gonna say don't appreciate you, but probably don't have the awareness of what you represent. But for people who are not from here, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, if I want to know what's going on in Richmond, I know I can dial into Noah and see what's popping off. You know what I'm saying? Like, so. Man, you're like a staple for the community. You know what I mean? We all are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so that's why that's one thing.
But
that's
always,
like,
you know, if people like you say, like, it's definitely people who gravitate towards me, maybe because their story is similar. Where like, again, for people outside of Virginia, Virginia is a place where it's a lot of like people transplanted, like who've ended up here,
military,
or who
like
family,
me, military babies. Y'all call
like
us
you
brats.
think about like the Clips. They was born in New York.
They was born in New York and came here.
Partially came here. Like it's a lot of people in Virginia whose story is the same as that. You know what I mean? So it's
you're right,
like,
because it's a hub. It's a hub area, because you gotta realize New York, of course, the epicenter of the North, and then you got Atlanta and Miami. You know what I'm saying?
And so right in the middle,
right there.
You know
it ain't like Cali where it's one big state.
Yeah.
Nah, every state got its own vibe, its own ley line, its own. You know what I'm saying? So, me personally, you know what I'm saying? I moved to Maryland from Alaska, so it's crazy because I was on the West Coast. Like, you know, I was in Alaska, and a lot of people in Alaska was from Cali. It was either on the run from the police. They was on the run. They, smashed the military joint that was, stationed up there, or or they was natives.
Yeah,
you know
that's what I'm about to say. Only people from
they was
up
natives.
There native.
So you know what I'm saying? It was native people. So I got to experience a lot of different cultures. But I moved from Alaska to Maryland. Get to Maryland. Maryland is its own animal. As y'all know, you go up there, you got their own slang, own vibe, Baltimore is its own vibe. The county is its own vibe. Then you got DC. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, to go from Maryland to Virginia, and then also I lived in Georgia. I'm from North Carolina. I used to live in Florida. So I got a good contrast to all these areas. When you get to Virginia, man, it's really a perfect gumbo mix of both sides. It's that middle child thing that Cole be talking about. We the middle child when it comes to, the East Coast. It's like
I can imagine like North Carolina is similar too, probably. You know what I'm saying?
Carolina is very similar because it has the elements of, it has all the elements right there. If you want to go super trap, it's there. If you want to go super poetic or, lyrical or, boom bap, new boom bap, like it's there.
Nah, like you said, like you looking like Ninth Wonder, J. Cole,
Rhapsody, Cole,
Lil Brother,
Lil Brother.
Those the most famous besides Petey Pablo, and now you got to do the baby.
Petey Pablo, you know what I'm saying? And that's like when you say
now
Virginia.
You're starting to see that other side of North Carolina, like with
the trap side.
Yeah,
but it's always been there.
But it's somebody he probably be the first one to break out. You know what I'm saying?
It's Charlotte because we talking about Lil Baby. You talking about Lil Baby, right?
Nah, the baby.
The Baby. My bad. The Baby. Yeah, that's his name. But he from Charlotte though. You know what I'm saying? I was watching something online like he from Charlotte.
But even his story, like he said, I don't know if he moved out there from like he was raised in Cleveland and Charlotte.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
Damn,
like
that's
or
crazy.
he might have just been born in Cleveland, but it's the same thing like cats in Virginia.
That transplant move,
Yeah.
man. I think when you move from one place to another place, man, opposed to being someplace your whole life, and there's no knock to either perspective. It's just being aware of there's different perspectives. You know what I'm saying? Like people say you hood or you street. Like my alias is streets. You know what I'm saying? Streets to me mean you can go any hood and be able to adapt and thrive. You know what I'm saying? Like the hood is like, yo, this is my hood, this is my territory. In this zone, we play by my rules. That's the difference with me. You know what I'm saying?
And
That's
then
it.
like when you talking about like cats in LA, when they say like what hood you from, they ain't even just talking about neighborhood. They talking about like what set. You know what I mean?
Facts. No, that's what I'm saying.
For the hood, they talking about like their clique or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Their
right.
set. So like, yeah. So it's the difference. Like you
It's
said,
a
between
different
the hood,
distinction, man.
street.
So and but tapping back to your project that you just released, man. Like you said, you haven't released music in the last 2 years.
Nah,
Like a year,
about
year and a half, year.
Yeah.
All right, so like a year. So in between that time, was that voluntary? Like y'all just gonna take a break or?
Yeah, definitely. Like,
Okay.
2000,
Like you said, detox. Had
yeah,
to detox. Right?
2017, man. Like that was probably the busiest year of my career. I was bouncing back and forth between Virginia and Brooklyn, like back and forth. I ended up. I was on Sway in the Morning, Hot 97.
Murdered it.
Like, networking and just
Murdered
like
it.
ready to see something different. So I felt like it was at a time I really needed to like get out from Virginia and see, even for myself, like, all right, I've been doing my thing in Virginia. People become aware of me. I met people. I've had certain doors open, but I really wanted to put myself, out there to feel like, all right, am I capable of being up against stuff that's out, or even like, being around that. Like when people think of like music, you might be at home in your state or city, but till you get around it, you don't know if you can handle it, or it's gonna eat you up and spit you out. Yeah,
a lot of cats ain't built for the
You know
game,
what
bro.
I'm
They
saying?
not, bro, and that's what I be trying to explain. I'm putting through boot camp. I'm like, yo, you're not built for this game, bro. Like I was saying earlier, when you moving around like that, you gotta understand being punctual, communicating. Just business etiquette.
And then even like that on the business side, but then everything else that come with
exactly like
that
family,
lifestyle,
you
trying to balance
you don't
having
see your
kids,
children like that, like
or like the negative aspect.
the niggas trying to rob you, you know what I'm saying? They trying to
Get
set
over,
you up, you know what I'm saying? Like
people
bad
finessing
contracts,
you, it's all
finesse,
types of stuff.
everybody,
man.
you know what I'm saying? It's a parasitic paradigm that we've created and we subscribe to, and it's changing. You know what I'm saying? It's changing because the technology and the internet.
Yeah, that's
I mean, like I could do a podcast right now from my phones. From my phone, I could do a podcast. I can hit a button and it's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It could be in Africa. It could be in Africa. You gotta realize I came up karaoke machine.
Yeah.
You had to get a tape, blank tape.
Yeah.
Pop it in the machine, hold play and record at the same time, and not mess up. Because if you mess up, you got to go straight through. Wasn't no punch-ins, wasn't no auto-tune, wasn't no edit, raw. You know what I'm saying? And then you got to put that in contrast to my age and to my OGs and pioneers. Which if when you see the art later, you see some of the OGs on the wall: ODB, Wu-Tang, Pop, Biggie, Bone, Big Pun, Cannabis, Eminem. I mean, the list goes on. LL,
UGK.
UGK. Come on, man. Like, the list will go on forever, man. Forever. You know what I'm saying? So, that's why at the end of the day, there was I think the rift has died down. It's another narrative. The rift has died down, but there was a big rift between the OGs and the youngins in regards to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
man, get up. Like, that.
That ain't died down.
It died down a little bit. It was kind of crazy for a minute. It was getting disrespectful. Like, it died down a little bit. Just a little bit. You know what I mean?
It be some people, like, if you go listen to these projects I put out the last few years, like, it's a certain style of hip hop, but then every once in a while somebody jump in my DM like, yo, I don't be messing with that type of stuff, or this SoundCloud. Like, yo, at the end of the day, I look at all this like it's rap. If you really know or listen to more of my stuff, you'll see I got records that sound nothing like this.
Exactly.
You feel me?
It's the niche. It's the you know what I'm saying? Like,
I know, like, if I'm gonna do this type of album, I'm gonna do it and appeal to them people who love this style of hip hop.
Right.
You feel me? And it just so happens when I make that certain stuff, there's a following for me in that lane. But
exactly.
that don't mean that I discredit or you know, I don't. It's the old dudes versus the young dudes, or it's the SoundCloud rappers versus the backpack rappers.
Right,
I don't
right.
even subscribe to all of that bullshit.
It's
At the
crazy.
end of the day, you feel me?
It's technology. It's accessibility. Like,
Yeah.
for if you think about it in a social media aspect, like, all right, boom, you're not gonna post the same thing that you post on Instagram, that you post on Facebook all the time, or you might not post everything that you post on Twitter on LinkedIn. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, LinkedIn is more professional atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? More business vibe. So you gonna post your
You present yourself in a different way.
Exactly.
But my whole thing is authenticity. Like
Authenticity. You
gotta
be who you are. You gotta know who you are, but you gotta know who you are to be who you are. You can't be who you are until you know who you are. So
you might have somebody in a boom bap lane, you know, that I'm gonna stick to this sound, or you know or you think that this person is conscious or whatever, but that's not really who they are. Just like on the flip side, it could be somebody in the trap lane is portraying to be a gangster that's not really a gangster.
Yeah. Or super tuned in.
Or super like. Yeah,
you're right. Or it
Hype,
ain't that. A
aware,
lot of what the first example, what you said, that's most.
So it's like don't get fooled by the presentation just because you predisposed. Yeah, predisposed to listen to a certain style of music. Like, nah, it's truth in everything. You know what I mean? Like, I listen to every.
It's hard to hide it now, bro.
My favorite album right now I've been listening to is Future.
Yeah, Future album hard.
I've been listening to Future, 21 Savage. I've been listening to all of this stuff, man.
Future conversation with Big Boy and about the business. Like,
I think I seen bits and pieces of that jump.
The business.
Oh yeah, I did see little bits and pieces. Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? But if you look at that interview, you would want to sign with him at the end of the day because he's not trying to screw his artists over.
Well, he's giving education. I mean, you got to give the education, bro. At the end of the day, you have to give the jewels because, well, not amongst everybody. I mean, for the people that deserve it, but you got to get a game this day and time where we at. Business, bro. Intellectual property, ownership, knowledge of self. You know what I'm saying? These are the keys. What's up, G? You know, but intellectual property, ownership, knowledge of self, application of what you know, community involvement, charity. These are the things that are gonna exalt you. You know what I'm saying? Period. Not everybody want cars and money. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Get it. Get all the drip.
And this is my thing too. Like, going back to, like, when you talking about all of that, like, this is the thing, man. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you can have an artist, like, and it's all on what you really want out of it at the end of the day. But you can have so-called underground artists who they really making money, and that's what people don't realize.
It's happening.
Like, you selling merch, you doing shows, getting paid.
I'm gonna say like this, Tech Nine, bro.
Somebody
Tech Nine
who you think, you know, from their videos and their drip or whatever, that they really, you know, cats
don't be
fooled
knowing
by what you see.
You
know what I mean?
because
how it's presented.
See, I mean, but it goes back to the survival games because you got to realize the way this game is set up right now. See, the medicine that was working, it ain't working no more because you can, like, trap music is everywhere now, so it's been dulled down to the masses where it ain't like, it's like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, so at this point, there's certain things you got to pay attention to what's penetrating. You know what I'm saying? Like the music that's penetrating now and the message that's with it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of dope artists that's peaking out right now that's just on a totally different vibe. And the world has got smaller with the internet that, you know, in America, we're going to start to realize, oh man, there are other elements we ain't even really fully tap into yet. And I think that's what Drake is real good at, you know what I'm saying? It's just because of his perspective. He's from Canada. He's not from here.
He be paying attention to what's going on in the world.
Exactly.
So you can see people be like, oh, Drake just he just like a vulture. Like, nah, obviously he's into music and he sees like, oh, Afro beat is in. Oh, grime is in.
Culture is everything, bro. Culture is everything, man.
Whether it's like reggaeton, he know what's popping in other places. And
right.
He gonna make sure that he could, you know, he creates something dope in that lane and appeals to them people too. He's very smart, man.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. So you know, man, we really touched on everything that I wanted to touch on, man. I mean, I just, you know what I'm saying, wanted to dial in to your mental space right now. I mean, you're really in a good space right now, like amongst what you've been dealing with in your personal life, man. I mean, I really say you have a championship mindset and mind frame. Ultimately, you know, you go through it, but you get to it, man. And I ultimately respect that,
Yo, whether we whether I have all of this going on, whether you writing the book, whether I'm putting out albums or merch, like, and presenting myself as an artist at that stage of my life, like, this stuff that goes on in life, whether it's, you know, whatever it may be, it's gonna keep going on. So that's how I look at it. Like, before I leave out of here, I'm gonna do what I enjoy. You feel me? And this is what brings me enjoyment. And I feel like this is through this, you know, being in this lane or being in this genre and hip hop being a part of my life has allowed me to come across cats like you and a lot of the people I have the closest relationships with. It wouldn't be, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I found, like, we talk about your book and purpose. Like, it's because of hip hop music being so important in my life, or a part of my life, and just who I am, that, you know, I found who I am as a man, and who should be in my life and who shouldn't. Like, I don't know if that would have happened that way if it wasn't for me, like, discovering hip hop. You know what I mean? Like, as a child, like, it's just part of, you know, who I am.
Your makeup.
My identity. So it's like, and it took me a while to figure that out. I thought that, you know, if I didn't have a deal or if I didn't have X, Y, and Z, then I wasn't really a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely,
but then I started realizing, like, nah, man, like, you know, hip hop was created by kids, by people from a street level, by a grassroots underground level. You can't take that. So a corporation, Def Jam, don't own that. Universal doesn't own hip hop.
Intellectual property.
They sign hip hop artists, but it belongs to the people. So as long as I'm doing it, I that's who I am.
Right.
And nobody could tell me that I'm not.
Absolutely,
Whether I reach a certain level of success in their eyes, like, that's irrelevant. Like, if I knew how to fix cars, I don't gotta go work for you know, if I painted cars, I ain't gotta go work for Mako to say I could paint cars. You feel me? That don't make me a car painter. I'm gonna paint them in my garage.
Absolutely,
or I'm
bro.
gonna create a page and get jobs that way. So that's the same thing with hip hop, you know, or whatever it is that's your passion. You don't have to wait for nobody to certify you. Now, I will say this: don't jump out there and present yourself as something if you haven't done the research and put in the work and put in the time to that and dedicated yourself to that craft, or else you're gonna find yourself jumping from one thing to the next. You know what I mean? So
don't monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah,
you know, everybody can't be a ball player. Everybody can't be a super rap star. You know, figure out, you know, what you're naturally good at, what your God-given talent is, and, you know, take the passion for it and dedication and apply what you know and activate that, you know, and it'll lead you to your why. You know what I'm saying? And
and don't, another thing, man, like, I've read a lot of, like, you know, I've read your book, I've read a lot of books in this type of lane. Like, some people will say, like, well, you should know that your purpose might be the thing that just comes the easiest and comes without any setbacks. Like, that's not true. It might be the thing that through you keep doing it, you encounter setbacks, you encounter blocks, but you're gonna encounter that in life anyway. But you'll know,
that's
like,
in
your spirit, like, if you don't got a 46-inch vertical leap and you 5'1", you're not going to the NBA, bro. You might be a great coach. You might could head up an AAU team and save some kid from going, you know, going to prison.
And a lot of brothers doing that, man.
That's
what this show is about, man. It's really about, like, just, you know, taking this platform to highlight the influencers and intellectuals. You know what I'm saying? You definitely are both, man. You're an intellectual brother and you're an influencer, man. So, you know, before we close out, you know, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. You got any last words? Anything you got on your mind, Odo? You know, King O?
Analog Suspects, Transmission 1 out now. March 8th, we doing a release show, Hoffheimer, Richmond, Virginia. Log on, analogsuspects.com. You know, follow me and all that at Charged Up Noah O on all social media platforms, Noah-O.com. So just thank y'all, man. Just stay tuned. We got a lot of work coming this year.
Control the Narrative, episode 1. Thank you to Revolt Studios. Peace. Hey, look, we kicking it. You're gonna get a lot more of this, a lot more content. Be sure to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button right now. Love.
Peace.
My brother.
Thank you.